Hello and welcome to the All 12 Signs video series for the Capricorn Full Moon that's happening on the 3rd of July 2023. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel energies through my body. As you can see, my hands are moving around right now. This is just one of the ways that I channel. This is independent of my conscious thought, bringing in energies from different dimensions to help us heal, help us clear stuck energy and open portals for messages from our soul to connect to our conscious mind. This is part 4. I will be reading for Aries, Pisces and Aquarius in this reading. I work with the Hellenistic principles in terms of astrology, as well as my own intuition and building on that. So that's from over 2,000 years ago. What does that mean for you in these readings? Well, I use the whole house system. This is where each sign encompasses the whole of a house. Recommend checking out your rising sign first if you know your time of birth. This is where this is the first house. So when I talk about the astrology, this will link into those of you who have that as a rising sign. This doesn't invalidate you. Looking at other signs in your chart, your sun, your moon, where your Saturn is. Just look to whatever sign you're checking into, look to where it falls in your chart, the themes of that house that it's in, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And I focus mostly with the astrology and the tarot on you, on the inner work that we have to do, the energies that we are engaging in, rather than say other people in your life. That would come up more in a personal reading. If you want a personal reading, check out my email address in the description box, and send me an email and I'll get back to you and I'll let you know what kind of services I offer. I tend to cater personally to the individual. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I understand how time and energy is very precious. So I appreciate any moment that you spend here with us, engaging with the energies. They are very grateful. What else did I want to say? Yeah, so the reason why I focus on the inner work, and that is because it's the most consistent thing in a collective reading, but also it ripples out into the rest of your life. The more that we question our environment, question our response to our environment, our response to the collective, our response to individuals, and our response to ourselves, the more we peel back the onion layers of collective energy that may be blocking us, lineage, energy, personal trauma, limiting beliefs, the more we get to the root of who we are, the more our vibrational frequency shifts and changes and draws situations towards us that are in alignment with that frequency, as well as helping us weather the storm in situations that usually might have triggered us in the past. We have a more sense of confidence and understanding of yourself, that more that you're able to interact with the outside world without necessarily getting knocked off your perch. As well as when we focus on ourselves and bring in a deep level of integration, the more that is then available to the collective. And right, we're seeing very loud and proud out in the world that so much unintegrated trauma is very loud and proud right now, and it can be very overwhelming to think of all the things that are going on in the world and what can we do. Well, what you can do first and foremost is tend to your inner tend to your inner space, your inner peace within that inner space. I really appreciate all your time and energy here. I'm not going into much detail about this moon in the introductions. Go check out the collective reading where I break down the astrology in a lot more detail. This moon is kind of it's the only Capricorn moon we're having this year. So we're going to have 2 new moons and 2 full moons next year in Capricorn, and so we're integrating everything that's been illuminated on this day in order to take it into the next cycle and work with that big Capricorn lunation energy next year. If you will be watching this after the event, because I was recording during the full moon, so there was actually a collective message that came through in the Taurus reading. I think it's about midway through, that was linked. It was at the exact moment of the full moon. So I recommend checking out that reading just to get in touch with that collective message. It was really lovely. Lots of big channeling happened at that time. But if you're watching this after the event, you're not missing out on the messages. You're not missing out on anything, because I'm pulling cards for what we've been through over the last 6 months since that new moon just after the winter solstice. And this energy energy of completion, and how this energy is manifesting moving forward, as well as pulling cards for the Neptune retrogrades. This is, Neptune's in the same sign as Saturn. It went retrograde a couple of days before this full moon, so it's having that energy is part of this full moon, and I won't be doing a transit video for it, so I wanted to bring it in and incorporate it here. And that's more of a sort of these are all sort of long-term energies and how they're working with them, so you're not missing out if you're watching after the event. Be good to yourself, be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again. Aries rising. How are you doing, Aries? For those of you just tapping into the Aries energy, this look to where Aries falls in your chart, the house that it falls in, and the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's as if Aries has now moved to the first house for you. In general, Capricorn and Aries energy square one another, so this is regardless of whether this is your rising sign or not. You're both cardinal energies. Like to instigate. The Aries energy kicks off the spring equinox. The Capricorn energy kicks off the winter solstice. It's all about pivot points in time, able to instigate things and bring things into fruition. With a square, this is an aspect of Mars. Mars can bring about conflict, drama, and frustration, winning at all costs. It's where you've got two energies that they're both working in the same modality, so that cardinal energy, so they both think whatever it is that they're doing is right, and you've got this 90-degree angle where they're pushing against one another, and this is where the conflict, this frustration, the stubbornness can come in with that square. But with the square is also friction. Mars is about doing, about being, about bringing things into being, and friction, we need friction for this universe, this 3D version of the universe to exist, right? This linear time frame, that sense of movement, of things, atoms rubbing against one another in order to create. So it's such a powerful manifestation, energy squares. And so we can really flip that. Whatever conflict and drama may come up is sort of helping you understand what's really important to you at root, what's worth fighting over, or what's worth getting into a space of conflict or drama, and what you can let go of, and how can you shift that conflict and turn it into, rather than rather than destroying, bringing in creation energy. So Aries rising, you have Capricorn in the 10th house. So you've got a lunation happening in your 10th house. And not only that, these are angular houses. So first, 4th, 7th and 10th are angular houses, and this is very loud parts of our chart, very pivotal points, very powerful. They have a lot of impact on the rest of the chart then. And so having a full moon in your 10th house, what does the 10th house mean? This is about life purpose. It's also linked into career, reputation, how the big outside world see you. But I like to focus on life purpose because it's not always like work, career. It can be other things that are your driving force. So I always like to bring in the 2nd and the 6th house, because the 2nd house is the tools in which you have in order to make your money. The 6th house is how you work, and then the 10th house is that drive, that pull. What is driving you to create, to have that sense of life purpose, have that bringing things into manifestation. So one of the most visible parts of the chart, it's at the top of the chart, and having a full moon there, right? So this is off the back of the new moon that we had just after the winter solstice last year. You would have planted seeds, whether consciously or unconsciously, in this area of your chart, and you've been slowly taking action on them. That's been building and building and building, and now we've got the full moon, which is a culmination of everything that you've been working on. Energies have been quite rampant today, wanting to get some energy work out for us all. So we've had that a culmination, right? So you've been maybe rethinking, working out what is your career, what is your life purpose, what really matters to you, helping wherever you're at with your career, establishing that, reinforcing it, working on that, or helping you find a new direction, helping you find a direction that's linked into legacy, linked into structure and formation in this 3D realm. The Capricorn energy is very much it's earth energy. It's the collective earth energy. And this is, you know, it's also it's linked into the banking structure and power dynamics. But for me, it's very much the more longer term legacy of the human species in relation to nature. You know, we've been this species longer than we've had civilization. So this is this sense of what is the core things that help the human being thrive. And Capricorn energy is very much finding those things, connecting to the long-term cycles. There's a sense of responsibility and authority that you have with Capricorn being in the 10th house. It's very much about integrity, strengthening foundations. There can be a sense of wanting, Saturn really wants you to walk your talk, and Capricorn in the 10th is this sense of what your life purpose is focused on long-term collective legacy. So even if it's a very individual space, but there's a sense of time of realizing cause and effect with Capricorn. And linking that into the earth, you know, it's very much about what you're building isn't necessarily something that is going to manifest straight away. It's going to take time. So Capricorn and Aquarius signs, they're ruled by Saturn. And so Saturn takes a while to mature. So it could have been wherever you're at in your life. You may be at the beginning of this, you may be in the middle, you may have already be at the end. But there's this sense of things can take time. They can have frustrations and limitations linked into Capricorn and Aquarius. But after a while, once you start walking your talk and realizing your own inner integrity, that's when the load gets lifted. That's when the lightness comes in of putting that dedication in, that devotion in, that you then start to reap the rewards of that. And so now you're reaping the rewards of everything that you've been doing in the last 6 months, that's been building on everything that you've been doing since your existence, basically, and possibly since past lives. But you know, let's not go into that too much. That we, around this full moon, we not only get this sort of sign of, oh, here's a sign of acknowledgement by the universe of the work that you've been doing. For example, so today is the day of the full moon. This morning I have Capricorn in the 6th house of work and how I work, and I got a message from a friend who was inquiring after an energy healing reading, and before I was sort of mostly doing astrology and tarot, I would do energy clearing, energy work on people. And she was inquiring after that. So it's kind of like a little symbol and sign of saying, okay, we've seen that you've been working on how you work and how you develop that work, and now we're bringing in an opportunity that may facilitate your understanding of what it is that you're capable of and being able to do. So you may get clues around an acknowledgement of your life purpose, of acknowledgement of your career, maybe being seen at work and validated, and a spotlight being shone on your reputation, and feeling good in the legacy that you've been creating. Full moons traditionally, generally, like this is when schools, hospitals and police stations get a bit wild, right? So this is the sunlight is completely covering the moon, which means our cognitive conscious mind, our vision, our direction is shining a light on our unconscious space, how we nourish ourselves, how we nourish others, whether our needs have been met or not. So this is why things can get really quite wild around full moons. And because our unconscious needs are coming out, where we, you know, so sometimes things come up that trigger you, that do have you what I always say is take the time, if these things do come up, take the time to be mindful and take a step back and be like, okay, why am I being triggered? What needs aren't being met in terms of my life purpose? Where am I not being seen? Where I've put in the hard work? All of these things are just sitting you and asking you to take time with them and see what isn't being met in order for you to integrate that in the next part of the cycle. Also, things may pop up that would have previously triggered you, but because you've been doing the work over the last 6 months, they no longer do so. And so you're entering that experience and allowing your body to feel safe in an environment or a situation that would have previously made you feel uncomfortable, anxiety, or whatever it is, and now you're not. And it's teaching your body, no, you're safe, you've learned, you've integrated that. It's all about integration. So lots of different things can show up around a full moon, and or all of them. That's definitely a thing. I certainly got triggered today as well, linked into how I work. The energy's got really rampant in the Gemini full moon reading, and it was quite a phenomenal energy. And then I got really zapped by it, and I was kind of a bit frustrated, and I got triggered. And so, you know, I've had lots of different situations happen that are sort of highlighting the fact that this full moon is nuanced. All the full moons are very nuanced. So this is squaring your Aries energy. So it's a first house for Aries rising. This is how you embody yourself in your actions, in your deeds, based on like the sun, or so it's how you embody your sun or your moon based on your actions and your deeds. So depends if you've got a day or a night chart, which luminary governs the way in which you behave and the prioritize. And then that's how you embody it. So it's how the lens in which these things come about in the world. It's your character, your body, your appearance. This is the house of self. So we've got this square energy of potentially you really being able to manifest your life purpose, embody it during this full moon, and feeling very confident in what it is that you're doing, and being able to express yourself in a way that is in alignment with your life purpose, and that getting recognition, because the 10th house does deal with reputation, also deals with bosses. So perhaps our boss being able to see the work that you've been putting in, and the direction that you want to be headed, and perhaps starting a new cycle of an evolution of that. So because we've got the sun involved as well, and often with full moons you'll find that wherever the sun is, that may bring up a theme that helps you understand where your needs are being met, or where you have come to at peace with how your needs are. What am I trying to say? Like you've fulfilled your needs, and there may be a situation that comes up. So you have Cancer over in the 4th house. So this is your roots and your foundations, your lineage, your ancestors, your parents. It's your roof over your head and your private life. This is often where a lot of trauma is stored, but it is your personal, private, intimate space. So the moon and the sun and Mercury are moving through there, giving you just more focus on that area of your life. And so with oppositions, this is when things are out of balance, can be out of balance. That's why we can go quite extreme over full moons if we haven't got these in alignment. So this is alignment between life purpose and private life. This is a common place where we can feel out of balance, and the sun and the Mercury moving through there is giving light, shining a light on getting you to just a more focused response of how are you tending to your emotional space in your home life. How are you looking after yourself in your private life? So it might be that something kicks off at home, or something happens in your private life, or linked into your parental figures, or this by being by yourself, you might just get an understanding, an idea of how you want your life purpose to go, how you want your career to be, because you'll get a clue of bringing that back into balance. Or something may trigger you, and you may feel that you are... What am I trying to say? Something may trigger you in your home, or something may come up that may have been a past trigger that may have diminished your desire or thinking your ability to follow your life purpose, and that's no longer having an impact on you. That's no longer affecting you. So we've got the sun and Mercury in Cancer, and we've got the moon up in Capricorn, and you have energy in Aries. If you're an Aries rising, you will have at least your Ascendant in the 1st house. And so this is what's called a T-square. So we've got an opposition between Capricorn and Cancer, and then how do I do this? And it's like that. And then we've got your Aries stuff over here. And so we've got this opposition and 2 squares, and the release point is the point in the Ascendant. So it's the end of the T, and this is asking you to pull focus in how you embody yourself, how you express your character. So we've got a culmination of this, and we're often with full moons, we then get a realization of what we need to integrate moving forward, letting go that which hasn't been working, seeing that which has very clearly been working, and then being able to build on it. So you've got quite a powerful energy of being able to integrate the seeded energy, very supportive energy from this moon, into the way that you embody yourself. And we're going to have the Cancer new moon, and then the day after that, that's when the nodes move into your sign, Aries. So there's a lot building up now now of you. I will be doing a transit video on the nodes. I'm really looking forward to that, so I'll talk more about that later on in a different video series. But yeah, this is a nice kind of like legacy completion, and evolution of legacy just before the nodes move. So I really enjoy this for you, Aries. What else did I want to say? Look to where your Saturn is in your chart, because this can have an impact and add in a layer of detail for you on a personal level of how this is affecting you. Speaking of Saturn, so Saturn for you is in the 12th house. Now, wherever Saturn is going to be having an impact. Sorry, the energies have wanted to do some energetic work in between. It's kind of like an ad break in these readings. So do bear with me when that's happening. So I just want to let the energy come out rather than keep speaking and let that move through us and carry on. Right, so whatever's going on with Saturn is impacting Capricorn and Aquarius. But so wherever Saturn is impacting this full moon. And Saturn is in Pisces in your 12th house. Saturn loves being in the 12th house. It's his favorite house to be in. This is a real reevaluation of your inner self. This is the hidden house. This is the house of mysteries. It's linked into depression. It's linked into trauma and limiting beliefs, as well as magic, right? And all of that can come with like sense of depression, isolation, loss, grief. You might be spending more time by yourself or wanting to contemplate the inner structures of who you are, the constructs of who you are. And so things may have been cropping up that may have been helping unravel trauma responses, unravel limiting beliefs, because underneath all of that is the magic of our soul. It's a 12th house and the 8th house traditionally have a lot of magic in them. And so Saturn really, Saturn is the darkest planet. It's the sense of the occult, that which is hidden. So Saturn really appreciates being there and also appreciates dedicating itself to the long-term foundational structures of self, right? Saturn wants you to be able to walk your talk and will shake up areas of your life where you really haven't quite refined what it is that you needed to refine. So Saturn being in the 12th is helping give you a sense of dedication to this unraveling, to this understanding of self, and an attempt to integrate that which is hidden into the rest of you. Saturn's then going to be moving into your sign in a year or two, and I'm loving this transit for you. So it might have felt a heaviness. You might just generally be feeling a heaviness. I've done a transit video for Saturn in the 12th house. So check that out if you want a bit more information of how this energy is showing up for you in terms of just Saturn. But it's in the sign of Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter and the exaltation of Venus. So it's no longer in its own sign. This is the first moon where Saturn hasn't been in its own sign. So we're being influenced by Jupiter and Venus here. And so there's definitely a softer energy, supportive energy coming in. And Saturn is actually sextiling the moon and trine the sun, as is Jupiter. So we've got a lot of support from the outer planets, the outer visible planets, that really want us to work with wisdom and integrity that's going to serve us in the long term. So Saturn over in the 12th is helping you perhaps see clearly trauma responses and limiting beliefs that may have blocked how you look at your life purpose, how you work with your career. And this is supportive energy. You're finding value and appreciation in that journey, as well as through that the magic that you have in order to share in your life purpose. Yeah, I recommend checking out the collective reading because it really is a very supportive moon that we're having, which is lovely after the back of those 5 years of Capricorn and Aquarius moons with Saturn in its own signs, which can feel a little more cold, a little more distant, a little more just a bit tough, you know. Saturn is the school of hard knocks, but the more that I work with Saturn, the more I'm absolutely in awe of the transformational possibilities and the core importance of Saturn to us as human beings. My hand's just gone over my heart chakra. Saturn represents time, karma, cause and effect. So Saturn moving through the 12th, helping you unravel not only your own issues or struggles, you know, it's linked into depression and anxiety, but also that from past lives of clearing out soul contracts linked into those limiting beliefs that may have been holding you back, or certainly impinging on an unconscious level. There's also so much power there coming through from the unseen that is facilitating your ability to be visible in your career, to see your career and feel value and integrity linked into what it is that you want to do and how you want to move forward. Well, as I said, I was talking about Jupiter. So Jupiter is over in Taurus, and Jupiter governs Pisces. So what's going on with Jupiter is impacting what's going on with Saturn. And Taurus for you is in your second house of your values, how you value yourself, the tools in which you have in order to make money. I've also done a transit video on this. I really recommend checking out the Saturn, Taurus, and Venus transits. I'll get to Venus in a second because these are all they're all intermingling with one another, and they're very supportive, and they're bringing in a big shift for us. So I do, especially the Venus one. So you know, Jupiter in the second house, again, I've done a transit video, so check that out. Helping you find wisdom in knowing how to value yourself. Ooh, 2 aces, look at this go. Helping you find value in yourself, helping you find wisdom in the tools that you have in order to make money. So we're getting that support of how you value yourself from Jupiter, which is also sextiling the sun and trine the moon. So again, sextiles and trines are positive aspect, they're soft aspects, they're supportive, very free flowing, sharing of information, sharing of energy, helping us feel good at this time. It's not feeling there's a lot of conflict, or there's a lot of jarring energy. It's very soft and inspirational. So the value of self, feeding into the 12th house of unraveling limiting beliefs. And Jupiter is in Taurus, so that's ruled by Venus. And where is Venus? Over in Leo, a fellow fire sign, in your 5th house of your creation energy. She's going to be retrograding. She retrogrades the least out of all of the planets, and this is the first time she's retrograded in Leo for 8 years. And therefore, like, this is a big shift in how you work with your creation energy that's feeding into, she's not quite retrograde yet, she's in shadow phase, and this is coming off the bat of a square with Uranus. So this is very being able to understand your own value, understand how your pleasure principle and how that affects essentially your life purpose, because we're looping back round to Capricorn. I forgot to mention, but we've got a sextile between Saturn and Jupiter, and this is the first aspect between the two of them since they conjoined at the winter solstice in 2020 in the sign of Aquarius. This was marking a 200-year cycle of the conjunctions between those two planets being in air, and now this is the first major aspect that they're making, which is this sextile. It was exact on the 19th of June. It was and I pulled cards for that particular aspect in the summer solstice video series, so if you want to check that out, we're going to be working with that energy for the next year, to be honest. So again, supportive energy. Sextiles are creation energy, love, appreciation, value, harmony, all of the things linked into Venus between these two outer planets that are really helping us in the long term, and that is still very present for this full moon. So it might be to get a more understanding about what's going on, maybe check that out as well. Okay, right, so I'm pulling cards as well for Neptune. and Neptune went retrograde on the 30th of June, so just a couple of days before this full moon. I'm not doing a Neptune transit video this time, so I wanted to bring it in because it's in the same sign as Saturn. Saturn is retrograde as well. I went retrograde 12 hours before the Gemini new moon, so we've got both of these planets in Pisces retrograde, and so this is having an impact on Saturn, and therefore having an impact on the moon. Now, again, Pisces, your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries. So Neptune moving through there. Neptune's very comfortable being in the 12th house. Neptune for me is like basically the quantum field. It's being able to tap into the vast creative energy of the creator and of the creator, God, whatever it is, whatever brought this insane, ridiculous ride that is the universe into existence is, I feel, very much embodied by Neptune. Sort of everything all at once. Time is linear, cyclical, and happening all at once. We are all the dimensions, all the frequencies, any possibility, that vast expanse of the quantum field again. So it can feel very overwhelming. It can feel, because there's a lot of energy, there's lots of different energies all at once there. So it can feel a lot to our individual human being. And it's also linked into the mystic or the martyr, very idealistic. Either way, it all depends which direction you go in. It's about bringing different realities into your own. It's very much linked into the film industry. So Neptune moving through the 12th is the ability to tap into the vast expanse of the universe, and that can probably feel quite heavy and quite overwhelming, being in the 12th house, as well as incredibly magical and beautiful. And now we've got Neptune retrograde. Neptune retrogrades 40% of its cycle, so a lot of the time Neptune is retrograde compared to, say, Venus. So it's an energy that we work with. And when it's retrograde, there can be a sense of refinement. We're sort of taking it inward. We're revisiting, we're going over things. So it kind of gives it a bit of structure, a bit of clarity when it's retrograde, because we're able to contemplate and think and engage with it rather than being overwhelmed with that energy. It's all going to be relevant. It's all going to be subjective to your personal chart of how Neptune feels for you, but very much felt in the lead up to the retrograde of a heaviness, of a fog. And since it's gone retrograde, there seems to be more clarity. There seems to be more ability to engage with the Neptunian energy that actually has a bit more structure. And so it's at the same time as Saturn being a retrograde. Just realised very few cards are coming out, so the deck might need clearing. Sometimes that's a thing. So with the Neptune and Saturn both retrograde, we're going on an inner journey. We're reassessing and reevaluating. And in the 12th house, this is a real beautiful time to be in a state of observation and cultivation of your inner space, of the inner constructs of who you are, allowing clarity to come in, so you can then break open those limiting beliefs, break open those trauma responses, and find that inner magic and that inner authority with both the Saturn and Neptune combined. I will be doing a Saturn retrograde series as well, and I'll probably talk a bit more about Neptune and Saturn together in retrograde motion for that series, just to give a bit more detail. But I did want to bring it into this full moon, as it has just gone retrograde, to help us all be able to understand, okay, what kind of energies are coming up, how are we working with it, and what are we doing. And so that's also impacting this full moon of finding, as I said, finding the magic in order to express it in your life purpose. So that's kind of everything that I wanted to say. But the cards have been a bit resistant for you, Aries. It's always interesting when that happens. So I'm going to go quiet now and just let the cards come out. So you've just had loads of information. Now is a nice time to digest and see what's been coming up for you in the lead up to this full moon, and how, like, the intuitive hits you might get for how this is going to integrate moving forward. How is this relevant for you? It's always good to decompress and allow a space of stillness. So I'm just going to keep shuffling until they put the deck down, and then they'll move the cards around and probably do some energetic work. So this is when I'm, sometimes sometimes I'm quiet, sometimes I'm not, but usually quiet. And I will come back to you and start reading the tarot in relation to the astrology. We've got your card, Aries. So the first part is kind of like everything that's been over the last 6 months leading up to it, what you've been working on, and then a sort of a culmination. And we've got this with the Seven of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups. Okay. Got Eight of Cups and Seven of Pentacles. So this is the Eight of Cups is about leaving behind a situation that is comfortable, or it's leaving like habits that we have that are limiting beliefs and trauma responses can feel comfortable. And so it's about an acknowledgement of a situation that you need to leave behind. And go on this journey to go climb the mountain, very Capricorn energy, getting a higher perspective. So if we're linking this into career and life purpose, so maybe moving, being in a comfortable working situation that is not really serving your progression and expansion of self, or seeing habits and formations and limiting beliefs that you have that have been blocking you, that feel comfortable, that you're taking the effort in order to move past. And we've got this with the Seven of Pentacles. So again, if we're thinking about career and life purpose, this is a reassessment of that, or a shift into a new career. Because the Seven of Pentacles is like the beginning, you're starting something new, you're cultivating, you're very dedicated to tending to these seeds that are growing, with the acknowledgement that it's coming through. But there can be a bit of a frustration of things not necessarily manifesting very quickly. But the Eight of Cups is really, there's a lot of courage with the Eight of Cups of putting yourself in a vulnerable position that's going to serve you in the long term, but may feel very unsettling at the time. But this is showing dedication of being very mindful. If you think about the harvest, if you grow things, you really have to take care of them. You have to be essentially be very dedicated on a day-to-day basis to cultivate something that is going to then flourish moving forward. We've got, for the moon, we've got this culmination, this sense of, it might have been a new project that you've been starting as well, not necessarily leaving a job, but certainly something, a shift has happened over the last 6 months. And we've got this with the Six of Wands. This is celebration. This is a real sense of validation, of being seen and being celebrated, of the work that you've been doing, whether that's in your work or whether that's in your personal space, where you're validating, you're appreciating the hard work that you've put in, the journey that you've been in, and you're in this state of celebration of where you're at and where you've come from. And it's the individual with the collective as well. It's sort of a recognition and acknowledgement, very appropriate for the 10th house. And we've got the Moon card, which is also the Pisces card. So very appropriate because Saturn is in Pisces. And we've got the Saturn card, which is the World card. The Moon card is all about it's a sense of bringing things into harmony. So we've got the dog and the wolf here, and this is acknowledgement of where you've come from and where you are now, and they're both sort of in being celebrated by the moon. There's deep sensitivity here. There's a sense of psychic connection, of being able to follow your intuition. You've been able to follow your intuition that has served you over the last 6 months. And this culmination here is an acknowledgement of that and reinforcement of you trusting in your intuition, because the World card is about knowing yourself. It's a sense of completion here and understanding of that, Saturn brings up limitations and boundaries in order for you to get to the root of who you are, the core principles that you have, where you draw a line in the sand. And it often means that you don't need to draw that line very often, because you're not affected or impacted by the outside world where you need to say no. You can just be yourself and move through it without being affected by it. And with knowing yourself, the world opens up to you. So there's a real sense of celebration and acknowledgement, of illumination on your unconscious space, your soul building up and expressing itself and allowing you to feel you know who you are, you know where you're headed, you know what you want to do, and you're walking your talk with integrity. how this energy is manifesting moving forward. Got two well, no, we don't. We've got the King of Swords, the Emperor, and the Ace of Cups. So the King of Swords again, right? So this is about clarity of mind and being able to take action based on that. And I like how it's connected with the moon. If we think even though it's the Pisces card, if we think about Cancer, the home of the moon, the roots and foundations, you've got the sun there of shining, very interestingly with the moon card. It is the moon, but also we've got the rays of light coming out, which is kind of implying the combination of that sunlight is impacting how the moon expresses itself, and the sun is over in Cancer, with that intuition of being able to take action, have clarity of thought and mind of the direction that you want to head in, based off of your intuition, based off of your ability to see that clearly, also with that Pisces energy as well, of really being able to cut through those limiting beliefs that have been blocking that may have been blocking your life purpose, and finding really strength and purpose with this recognition of being very confident in the way that you express yourself. And that is with, not the Saturn card, the Emperor and the Ace of Cups, which is kind of reaffirming this wisdom and confidence. This is the Aries card, so I'm sure you know. King of Kings. The decisions that you're making are serving you in the long-term legacy. This is a real innate wisdom here. And I like the Ace of Cups coming up with those two cards, because there can be a little detachment. This is fire and air, of go, but it's coming up with the Ace of Cups, which is saying you're being replenished. Your emotional connection to your life purpose is being replenished, and you've got the authority and understanding and intuition and clarity to be able to take the steps to implement your vision, whatever that may be for you. We have with Neptune, I really enjoy this combination of cards. We've got so Neptune's retrograde. So retrogrades is often as an inner space, especially with Neptune, I find, rather than that collective everything all at once. It's sort of twisting as above, so below. You're bringing that into your inner space. We've got the Two of Swords in reverse, and the Four of Pentacles in reverse in the 12th house. I like this combination because the Two of Swords is kind of there's a now decision. You're able to see things clearly and make decisions. You're not in this state of pause. You've got this card can be about holding on to things, and I feel like you're letting go. Neptune in reverse is helping you let go of structures that have blocked your power in order to gain inner strength and inner power internally. It's doubled up with the Ace of Swords. We've got two aces, a clarity of mind, of being able to see the truth of that which has been hidden. She's wearing a blindfold, and in reverse it's as if that blindfold has been taken off. And releasing releasing those boundaries that you may have had, that sense of holding on to security of those limiting beliefs and trauma responses, that the fog is being cleared. And there's more clarity being coming in with Neptune in reverse that helps you see the wonder of who you are. And I talk about words, talking about Neptune, words all over the place. We've got this with the Six of Pentacles. This is always, for me, in receipt of wisdom from a higher power, and so very much I'm bringing things into balance so you can then thrive. So it's a support's coming in from Neptune being in reverse, of helping you clear things that have blocked you out of the way, things that have felt quite have had a powerful grip over who you are, that are now you're going to be able to be going over and revising and bringing in a new reality into your internal space. This is crowned with the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Cups. Tending to your physical reality through emotional stability. So the Queen of Pentacles, very nourishing of this 3D realm, your physical body as well. If we also kind of link it back in to the career element as well, even though this is just Neptune retrograde, but we're still dealing with the full moon of nourishing yourself, nourishing that inner space, all the issues that may have come up that in your physical world, that now the Queen of Pentacles is helping you listen to your own advice, helping you listen to the advice of Neptune, that is tending to your inner space in a very nurturing, committed way. Earth is very loyal. With the King of Pentacles, I love this for the final card of like, if you look how unsteady the water is that the king's on, but the king's not getting knocked off. There's even like a sea monster out to attack this ship. That whatever's going on around you, you're not letting yourself get caught up in that emotional turmoil with Neptune in retrograde. And this is creative energy, intuition, imagination, of being able to take action with this development, and that's helping you be able to not get pulled down into the waters, but be able to find structure and form, and able to and helping you then take action, and also bringing in the magic, right? Bringing in the magic and being able to express that in actuality. Right, I'm going to pull some clarification cards for you, Aries. This is the First Light Tarot. This is a mixture of major arcana, question cards, statement cards, and keyword cards. All the decks are in the description box if any of them take your fancy. Let's see what wants to come out for Aries. Whoa. Who may I help? What are they wanting? It's gone with the healer card. These cards came up in the collective reading, and I talk about them in that, so if you want to check that out. Who may I help? This is you. So there's some deep emotional healing going on with Saturn and Neptune being in your 12th, that is really facilitating and unblocking. Even if you think like your career and who you are, you're doing really well and all that stuff, like we tend to all still have stuff going on inside that we're not quite aware of, that this, especially with Saturn moving through your 12th, that's going to be revealing things, because Saturn shakes your foundations to trust, to see if they're strong enough. And so little things may be coming up that are helping you go, okay, now I see myself and I am able to navigate that and do some deep healing. Got the moon card sort of reconfirming that Pisces energy. Phases, mystery, instinct, discovery. Just wondering, for some of you who might be discovering that, I mean, we're all healers, but discovering the power that you have to heal others. And by healing yourself, we're able to heal those around us. I just want to pull one more card. You're getting more cards than everybody else, Aries, just to let you know. A resistance card, but they're focusing on the preparation, kind of implying that what you've been doing, you know, I said like this is preparation, this is all preparation. What you've been doing is really been helping you get to this space of victory. Okay, let's see what the numerology deck wants to say for Aries. Okay, I'm thinking of that preparation in regards to the nodes. That there's a lot of groundwork. Sometimes we preempt the energies that are happening in the skies, even though the nodes aren't moving until the 18th of July. We had that Aries second Aries eclipse. It was a hybrid eclipse. If you haven't checked that out, Aries, I really recommend it. That was a big one. We only have hybrid eclipses every 10 years, and that was quite a phenomenal reading. That was instigated in you had 2 new moons in your sign, so you've been bringing things in. You've been changing and reevaluating, rediscovering who you are at your essence. Got teaching and learning. So that could be for some of you, that's what you do in your career, that's what you're sharing, and as well as the journey that you've been on, you've learned so much, you've been able to transform, and especially with the Neptune as well, of really learning and leaning into the wisdom of Neptune that's helping you connect to source energy in the 12th. And then Neptune and Saturn are going to be moving into your sign together. Not for a while, but woo! Phenomenal. I can't wait to read for that. Got creativity. Getting creative with how you express yourself. Yes, it's really kind of highlighting the fact that your life our life purposes are all about teaching and learning. Our existence is about teaching and learning, but for some of you in particular, that may well be a theme in where you've shifted and changed in your career. I just want to do one more. I just feel like there's just one more message that wants to come out. Emotion, control of self. Okay, yeah, this transit of Neptune retrograde is really helping you understand your trigger responses, your trauma responses. With Pisces as well, very much collective energy that you tap into. I really recommend checking out the Saturn transit because I talk a lot about Neptune and I talk a lot about the 12th house. So that's a big transit for you, Aries. So I do recommend it. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. If any of this resonated, don't forget to hit the like button. This is a growing channel, so any interaction on the channel really helps pay it forward. If any of this resonated with you, helps the algorithm push it out there. Subscribing, liking, putting comments, watching the video till the end, even if it's not all for you, put it on mute, watching more than one video in a row. All these things help the algorithm if you feel so inclined. But other than that, be good to yourself, Aries. Be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again. Pisces rising. How you doing, Pisces? For those of you just tapping into the Pisces energy, look to where Pisces falls in your chart, the house that it's in, the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's as if Pisces has now moved to the 1st house. Just in general, regardless of whether it's your rising sign or not, Capricorn and Pisces energy sextile one another. This is an aspect of Venus. This Venus wants to bring about creative energy. So you're both yin night signs, so you've got something in common, but you're different elements, so you're coming at it from different places, but there's still a commonality, and this is where you're brainstorming. There's a sense of appreciation and value coming in here, a sense of harmonizing. So really lovely, supportive energy that is coming out for this full moon. For Pisces rising, this full moon in Capricorn is happening in your... Whoa. It's a wonderful deck. I've started using it since... the summer solstice. I use a different deck for each part of the cycle of the year, but it's coated, which means it's very slippery. Very good for meaning that the images won't get faded, but do bear with me when the cards tend to go all over the place. I'm still getting used to it. So Pisces and Capricorn. For Pisces rising, you have this in your 11th house. This is the house of hopes and dreams, friends, groups and alliances, and reaping the benefits of your 10th house. That's your life purpose, your career. So this full moon happening here is a culmination of all the stuff that you've been consciously or unconsciously working on since the new moon in Capricorn that happened a couple of days after the winter solstice last year. So we would have planted those seeds, and slowly we've been taking action on them, and that's been building, building, building. And now we've got a culmination of that all, a sort of acknowledgement and recognition by the universe of the work that you've been doing. So I had an example. So today is the 3rd of July. If you're watching this, or you will be watching this after the full moon, it was exact, but you're not missing out on any of the energy. But this morning, so I've got Capricorn in my 6th house of how I work, I got a message from a friend who wanted to see if I wanted to do some energy work, wanted to hire me to do that, and that's something that I very much put into my practice. Is kind of where I started off before bringing in the astrology and tarot, of clearing people's energy and helping work with that and clear out stuck energy. So it's just really interesting, a little clue of understanding of what I've been working on over the last 6 months, just showing up in my life on the day of the full moon. Also, so you may have, as I said, this feeling of completion of a particular part of a cycle, of acknowledgement of the hard work that you've been doing to perhaps manifest your hopes and your dreams, perhaps cultivating your relationship with groups and friends and alliances, as well as reaping the benefits from your career house. So how does that might show up? So seeing where you're headed in your career and cultivating that, and integrating it into your hopes and your dreams. So yeah, as I said, these things may show up as a sort of hello and thank you and well done, a nice little pat on the back, as well as bringing up triggers. So the full moon traditionally is when hospitals, schools and police stations, they all get a bit wild, because the sun is, the moon is at its fullest. So the illumination from the sun, our vision, our direction, our animation, our conscious mind, is reflecting onto our unconscious space. So we're seeing clarity. So our unconscious space, how we nourish ourselves, what our needs are, our intuition. So if things are out of balance, our unconscious space that hasn't been seen, hasn't been witnessed, and needs to be visible gets very, very loud around this time. So people can kick off, triggers can happen, and if this does happen for you, it's in order to help you understand what needs to be looked at for the next cycle, as well as bringing up these situations that may have triggered you in the past, where your needs haven't been met, where your unconscious space hasn't been seen, but you've been doing that work, and it's gonna, often the universe then brings you a situation to help you see the journey that you've been on, because then you go into that situation or that environment that no longer is repeating a similar cycle of what may have triggered you in the past, and you're not getting triggered by it. And this helps us integrate on a physical level that which we may have thought we've worked through on the mental, in the mental sphere. So it's really helping our bodies feel safe, and when our bodies feel safe, they're able to thrive. So all of these things may come up for you. I got really triggered in the Gemini the Gemini reading. The energies were really, really, really rampant, and very, very frenetic, and were very, very overwhelming. And I kind of got a little lost in them, and I needed to pause the video to take a time out and let that all settle. And so it's something I've been working with the channeling, because it's weird channeling other dimensions, and it's very understandable human response. If you think about the legacy of Capricorn, of the human being, of how we interact with the 3D world, of having that response of, okay, this is a lot, and I need this to be in balance. So that happened just before the moon was full. If you didn't watch the introduction, it was very short, but there was a collective reading that got channeled in the Taurus reading, which happened after the Gemini one, when the moon was at its peak, and that was such a beautiful message. I might put a post up about that to let people know to go tap into that. But I'm kind of highlighting, so lots of different things have happened today that are bringing all those things together, of like how you respond to triggers, whether you're still triggered, and certainly an acknowledgement of the work that you've been doing. So because we're dealing with not only the moon but also the sun, this opposition, this is when things can be out of balance, which is why I talked about how hospitals can get busy, police stations can get busy. We're howling at the moon. We can get a bit wild, and this is because we're sometimes with oppositions, wherever it is in your chart, I mean, it's everywhere in the chart, that there's that sense of yourself and the other, this imbalance that you may be prioritizing one side of that axis than the other, and we really want everything to be in balance in order to create a harmony where no one's feeling like, no part of your chart is feeling left out. And so you have Cancer over in your 5th house of creation energy. This is your fun, your play, the amusement. This is romance and pleasure. This is children. This is short-term dating. So the Sun and Mercury are moving through there, shining a light on your intuition and how you connect to that creation energy. So I often find with full moons that something will come up in the other area of your chart where the Sun is, in order to highlight the growth that you've done, or what needs to come up. And so something may come up in that area of pleasure and play, and fun, that thing that gives you the spring in your step, your creative energy, the things that you may be creating, and either showing triggers, but also showing, hey, this is you've been working on, you're bringing your creative energy into your hopes and your dreams. This is a very supportive moon. This is lovely. Do check out the collective reading. So we're not going to have a new moon in Capricorn this year. We're going to have 2 next year and 2 full moons next year. So we've got this big Capricorn lunation energy happening. And so what we're kind of being illuminated now is helping us draw in this energy to support us into the next year. So we've got a lot of support. This is the first moon in a Saturn ruled sign, with Saturn being in Pisces. So we're really getting a flavor and understanding of what that means for us. And also there's lots of supportive aspects between Saturn and Jupiter and the Sun and the Moon. There's sextiles and trines. These are soft aspects. They're free-flowing energy. They aren't necessarily hard work. So we're definitely being held by the universe at this moment in relation to our long-term legacy and our vision, which I talk about a lot more in the collective reading. Speaking of sextiles, Saturn and Jupiter are sextiling each other, and in the summer solstice series I pull cards for that because that's the first major aspect that those 2 planets have made since a conjunction that happened in... Oh my god, I spoke it into being about how slippery the deck is. This is the most it's slipped up for these readings. So there's the first aspect that Saturn and Jupiter have made since the conjunction that happened in the sign of Aquarius, which is marking a 200-year cycle of where those conjunctions are going to be. So this sextile, we're going to be feeling it for basically until Jupiter that was the High Priestess. We'll see if she wants to come out again. Basically until Jupiter moves into Gemini. So this is a big aspect, and pull card for that. But it's also that it was very prominent around the summer solstice, and also very prominent for this full moon. So it might be worth checking out that and seeing how that particular aspect is impacting your life as well as this full moon. But speaking of Saturn, Saturn is over in Pisces. So whatever's going on with Saturn is impacting this moon, and flavoring this moon. And so Saturn is in your sign, Pisces. Saturn transiting the first, again, I've done a transit video for that, so if you want more details about that, do go check it out. It's a very significant transit to have that in the first house, a sense of refining and strengthening your inner authority of how you express yourself. Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to mention the combination. So you've got this sextile between your Pisces and your Capricorn energy. I'll come back to Saturn, I apologize. And the first house is how you embody your sun or your moon in your actions and your deeds. It is your character. It's the lens in which these things are expressed. It's often how other people see you. It is your appearance, your body, your vitality. And so we've got this sextile energy between how you embody your hopes and your dreams, how you maybe creative energy coming up around friends, groups and alliances that help you then embody your dreams. There's a real sense of drawing those hopes and dreams into your character. and being able to express it during very creative energy, supportive, feeling a sense of value and appreciation around your hopes and dreams and how they're manifesting, as well as feeling value and appreciation in groups and alliances, and with the work that you've been doing in the 10th house. Let's get back to Saturn. So Saturn is in your first house, so again, that sense of integrity, responsibility, authenticity, and authority in how you embody yourself, giving structure to your Pisces energy that is feeding into this moon of, okay, right, how are we facilitating your hopes and dreams in the long term? Saturn's very much a long-term planet, as is Jupiter, really wanting to bring structure and strong foundations to your legacy. Saturn is the key word for me. Saturn is legacy and integrity. And so this is facilitating a culmination of the hopes and dreams you've been working on, as well as bringing in, seeding this energy at this full moon of how to then bring them even into more fruition moving forward. Look to where Saturn is in your chart, in your natal chart, because this will add in a layer linked into your personal experience with this full moon. So wherever that is, that sign and the house, the themes of that house are going to be playing a role as well during this lunation. We will have felt it in the lead up, and we'll feel it afterwards. You're watching this after the event. This is being recorded on the day of the moon. You're not missing out on any of that energy. Apologize if I've already said it. I'm pulling cards for the culmination of the last 6 months, how this energy is moving forward, and also for Neptune. Because Neptune went retrograde 3 days before this full moon. And so this is impacting this full moon. It's also in the same sign as Saturn, which is also retrograde, which went retrograde before the new moon in Gemini. So we've got these two planets in your sign that are retrograde. And obviously that Neptune is going to be impacting what's going on with Saturn. But let's get back to where Saturn is. Saturn is in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter is over in Taurus in the house of how you communicate, your local environment, providing wisdom and support in that way. And so what's going on with Jupiter, which rules Pisces, is impacting what's going on with Saturn, and therefore impacting what's going on with this moon. So being able to express and understand the value of your hopes and dreams and being able to communicate that and embody that, and therefore bring in a sense of perhaps your local community as well. With Jupiter is showing up and helping facilitate your hopes and dreams, as well as being recognition of the work that you've been doing. And Jupiter is in Taurus, ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Leo, and this is in your 6th house of work, health and routines. This is the big transit of the year. Venus retrogrades the least out of all of the celestial bodies, and she hasn't retrograded in Leo since 2015, 8 years ago. So we're starting a big new 8-year cycle, and this is impacting Jupiter and therefore impacting Saturn, therefore impacting the moon. So she's reevaluating your value when it comes to how you work. I've gone into a lot more detail about what that means for all of the signs in that transit video, so check it out. But it's bringing in the heart space into this moon, which is lovely. And as I said, like Jupiter is sextiling the sun in Cancer, and trining the moon, and Saturn is trining the sun and sextiling the moon. So we've got very inspirational energy happening. It's forming a cradle where we're being held, and so we've got a lot of support, a lot of easy free-flowing energy that's integrating into our bodies, into our minds, into our spirit, for the next part of the cycle till the next new moon that happens at the beginning of next year. And Venus very much helping find your value in terms of how you work, the pleasure that you get from it, opening up the heart space that is and all of this is going to facilitate your hopes and your dreams. It's just it's a beautiful, beautiful energy. So Neptune, I'm pulling cards for the retrograde. And Neptune, unlike Venus, Neptune retrogrades 40% of its journey. We're very used to a Neptune retrograde. And so Neptune, everything all at once. The ability to tap into the creation energy of the creator. So the quantum field, all the dimensions, all the particular time frames, linear, cyclical, and everything all at once. And it can feel very overwhelming, like the acknowledgement that this table is real and it's also not real. And we can get quite swept up in the immensity of all of that energy, the containment of that, and how it isn't contained. And we can get quite sensitive to Neptune because of that overwhelm. It's about bringing a different reality into your own, and the more that we question our realities, more that we aware that there are more than one reality is possible, the more that we can work with Neptune without getting losing ourselves in delusion. But there is a fogginess around Neptune, and I certainly felt with that station that it was quite overpowering. And now with the retrograde, we're kind of giving a containment to Neptune, which is also linked into sort of the mystic and the martyr, sort of very idealistic energy, unconditional love, all of these beautiful things. But also, Neptune has its own issues. And moving through the first house is perhaps really, well, at the root of it, being able to tap into the quantum field in the way that you embody yourself. But that can feel like a lot. That can be very overwhelming. You're also dealing with the collective emotional unconscious as well with Pisces, of a deep inherent sensitivity to the collective. And now with this retrograde, so it's kind of like going inward and revisiting and refining, giving a sense of structure, giving a sense of form to that which is formless, and bringing that magic inward, of being able to contemplate it and see the different paths that may be formed. And so really helping bring that magic into the way that you embody yourself, bring in the vitality of the creation energy into your body, into the way that you express yourself, and the character in which you're forming. And Saturn is retrograde as well, so they're both retrograde. Saturn's giving support and structure during these last couple of years, with Neptune being in your sign. Of really bringing together that whole journey, giving a sense, again, more sense of structure to that which is boundless. It's not about denying the openness, but holding space for both of these things. So yeah, you might just have a bit more clarity, a bit more understanding about how you want to embody yourself, not only in the 3D, but in the 5D as well. Oh, my spine just went very straight at saying that. So I guess more like how you hold yourself in alignment with all of these different possibilities, while still being able to maintain your individuality. Just had a response from the energies with that as well. I'll probably be talking more about this Neptune-Saturn retrograde phase, because the next series that I'm going to do is the Saturn in retrograde in Pisces. So more things may come up in that if you're a bit more curious and want a bit more information, and see what else comes up in the cards and the channeling when it comes to engaging with these two seemingly very polar opposite energies being in the same sign. What I always like about, I did a lot of research on Neptune with Neptune in Pisces in the Saturn transit video series, so do check that out. And one of the things is like looking into the film industries, you can link into Neptune, because it is about, as I said, bringing different realities, unimaginable realities into your own. And the main films that have been really, really popular since like 2011 are all the Marvel movies, and it just made me laugh, because this is people coming from different dimensions, different realities, to come together in order to save the planet. So appropriate, so what we need, and so what's happening. You just see the magic building and building and building everywhere. It's pretty cosmic. Okay, so I should imagine having this earth full moon is really very grounding of your long-term legacy, giving a bit of a sense of sweetness and structure to to how you embody yourself. Right, so I've said pretty much everything that I wanted to say. This is when I'm now going to go quiet because I haven't put the deck down, so there's obviously still some more cards that want to come out. You just had a lot of information, so now's a quiet time to let that all integrate, see what intuitively's come up for you, what's been resonating of coming up in your own life, and intuitively how this is moving forward for yourself. Let that all settle in and integrate, and then I'll start talking again when they put the cards down, they've done some energy work, they've moved the cards around, and then I'll start and incorporate the tarot into everything that has just been said. Okay, so we've got for what's been going on with this in the last 6 months in the lead up to this full moon and sort of the completion phase of what that's all about. So we've got the Hermit, the Eight of Cups, the Seven of Wands, and the Chariot card. So the Hermit and the Eight of Cups is about deep internal discovery of your own innate wisdom of what it is that you want to bring into fruition, where your hopes and your priorities with your hopes and dreams are, and cultivating that and finding like this, being in a state of not necessarily isolation, but going inward and really assessing these hopes and dreams. With the Eight of Cups, which is about leaving behind something that's comfortable, and that can be a situation that just seems on the outside perfect but isn't actually suiting your needs, as well as trauma responses and limiting beliefs that are habits. Then habits feel comfortable, and acknowledging that through the wisdom that you've learned and being able to go on a journey of going to climb the mountain in order to get a higher perspective that is going to shift and change the dreams that you want to bring into manifestation. And this is all kind of with the Seven of Wands. And this is about having something of value, but you're not quite sure. You're not quite aware of that value that you have within you. There's a sense of competition here, perhaps getting these dreams up and running and motivated. You may have come up against situations that have felt like they're sort of shaking you from the ability to manifest, and like there's a focus on that rather than the hopes and dreams themselves. This figure is on a cliff. Has the higher ground. So having gone on the journey, you've now got the higher ground, but there's been some things that may have felt like a bit frustrating. I mean, look how unsteady this person looks. Like they've got different shoes on. Not that that's a criticism, just the idea of, say you're wearing shoes that feel very differently on different feet, like you're going to have that sense of feeling unsteady of how this journey is progressing and how these things are manifesting in your life. Perhaps again, reaping the benefits from your career, that you've had to go inward and really cultivate a situation that is not based on habits, like your response mechanisms to your environment, and how you engage with that isn't well, what am I trying to say? If it's not coming out, that means it's not meant to come. Okay, so we've got the Chariot, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Six of Wands. So the Chariot, this is the Cancer card. So drawing back into your creative energy, perhaps you've felt that you've needed to leave a situation that's been blocking your creative energy, that therefore isn't helping facilitate your hopes and your dreams. And now you're embodying that, but there's maybe lots of other people are doing that as well, and you've focused more on the fact that other people are doing it and not on the fact that you have something of value to offer. The Chariot card coming along. This is about being in command and being in your own. It's a real shift of gear of this energy of being unsure of yourself. This figure is very sure of who they are. They're sure of their environment. They're sure of the resources that they have. You notice here there aren't any reins, so they're not having to control. It's not about control, the Chariot. It's about embodying the existence of reality. We've got the yin and the yang. We've got essentially the crown of the Empress. We have the wand of the Magician, the moons of the High Priestess, the background of the Emperor, and the lingam and the yoni, and the spirit represented by the Lovers card. So this is bringing all together all of the previous cards of saying you now know the resources that you have, and you're able to move forward into a space of victory. And this is doubly confirmed by the fact we do have the Victory card. The Queen of Pentacles, you're now able to cultivate all the work that you've been doing. A sense of nourishment of your hopes and your dreams, of taking care of them for long-term legacy, earth energy. With the Six of Wands, validation, appreciation, whether that's being validated by the outside world, or essentially being able to validate yourself, not feeling that unease with that Seven of Wands, and really knowing what you have to offer is of value. And that is so fundamental to us being able to express our hopes and dreams, and bring them into fruition, however they manifest manifest for you. I mean, just oh, hello, Pisces. This is the energy of what's being drawn down into the next part of the cycle. Got the Ace of Pentacles, the Empress, and the Ten of Cups. The Ace of Pentacles is saying, okay, you've gone through a cycle and now we're starting again. We're looking at it again. We're fresh. We've got this, for me, this is always new earth energy. And I say that phrase because it's just an easy catch-all way of associating the idea of embodying the 5D in the 3D reality. The sense of renewal, a refreshment of how you look at your hopes and your dreams. It's not starting all over again, but it's a refreshment and helping you be able to feel enlivened. We've got this with the Empress. She wants you to enjoy the 3D realm. This is Venus. Venus is over in your sign of work, health, and routine. So putting in the work in order to bring these dreams into fruition. Love this. Very abundant energy. She's the Queen of Queens. Very fertile. This sense of productivity, a sense of birthing things into the world. With the Ten of Cups. So this is, you know, traditionally the happily ever after card. But for me, I like to focus on the fact that the cups are in a rainbow, right? Our chakras are like the light refracted are our chakras. When they're all in alignment, we're in an embodied state of enlightenment, like not sort of ascension energy, but certainly cultivating that sense of feeling whole in our emotional state in the 3D realm. So regardless of whether you've got the dream of the happily ever after, this is saying that what's being cultivated for the next part of the cycle is you feeling and what you're drawing towards you. You're having an emotional connection to the 3D world that is facilitating those hopes and dreams, that's bringing them into fruition for some of you. For Neptune, I like this combination. We've got the Six of Cups, King of Swords, Ace of Swords, the Lovers, and the Hierophant. So you've got two aces, which is really saying a sense of renewal. Again, that creative energy that you're getting for this full moon, this embodiment, this instillment in the seeding of this energy into how you embody your hopes and your dreams, right? Maybe calling on you to act as if this has already happened, to tap in, to work with the chakras, to work on your emotional body and bring them into alignment. That's going to help facilitate the Empress and this renewal of your hopes and dreams, and really be able to work with this energy. We've got we've got Neptune retrograde. This Neptune, as I said, like all the possibilities. And with this is sixes are very protective energy. You know, you've got two sixes here. But this is about the past. This is about being able to look at the past sweetly and see that there's flowers growing out of these cups. It's representing a sense of abundance, and this is the biggest house in the tarot, so also highlighting feeling secure, feeling safe. So this retrograde also, I'm getting past lives come in. I'm getting energy coming in from past lives to help facilitate your expression of self. They're just patting my hand over the heart chakra. With the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords, so really like this, like moving away from the idea of Neptune being foggy, of there's clarity, serious clarity and understanding of your past and how that may have affected your embodiment, and really being able to see the truth of situations and bringing in new ideas, new ways of engaging with how you express yourself, based on more truth, more this sense of there's also peace as well with these, that I'm getting that there's a lot of higher perspective, and with that we have more sense of an inner calm. We're not necessarily getting shaken around by the collective energy. Also with swords, feeling very protective again, you know, because we're dealing with Pisces, which does tap into the collective energy, as well as Capricorn, of sometimes things you think are yours aren't yours. And with the Ace of Swords, of being able to, with the King, of being able to be at peace with the past, also receiving benefits and boons and gifts from it, but now being able to utilize the clarity of your understanding of your own innate magic and being able to cut through that which hasn't been serving you, transmuting that energy in order to bring about clarity in the reality of your life cycle, and know that you are part of something bigger and more collective, and that you've been on many lives before and many lives coming forward, but there's a real sense of understanding that and finding peace with that. And we've got the Lovers and the Hierophant card crowning this energy. So with this sense of truth and understanding, this is Gemini and Taurus, of those swords, you're able to make decisions. So this is all about crossroads and about information and having information in order to make the right decisions for yourself in the long term. It's about choices. You know, we've got the feminine, masculine, and spirit, and a mountain. It's sort of an integration of all these parts of you and being able to embody them. And whenever you come across crossroads, being able to make decisions that are more in alignment with your soul. With the Hierophant, being able to express and embody yourself with truth, expressing your own inner guruhood. That is not only facilitating you, but serving the community. Love this. Okay, right, I'm going to pull some clarification cards for you, Pisces. All the decks are in the description box if any of them take your fancy. This is the First Light Tarot. This is a mixture of major arcana, question cards, statement cards, keywords, and let's see what wants to come out for Pisces. Got the Hanged Man. Hello, Neptune. Crossroads, transitions, turning point, decisions. Again, that's sort of reconfirming that not only the Neptune pile, but the Lovers card of the Hanged Man is all about being in receipt of divine wisdom. And through that, we're changing our perspectives and being able to integrate into our body in order to make decisions that serve us in the long term. So love that Neptune's showing up loud and proud. Right, this is the numerology deck. Let's see what wants to come through for... Got parenting. Interesting. Parenting your dreams. Parenting your hopes and your dreams. You've really been taking care of them and cultivating them, and that's doubly backed up by that Queen of Pentacles. Very nourishing, very nurturing, giving a lot of good advice, which has been is facilitating these dreams, this vision that you're cultivating, being able to express itself fully. And there's always things to grow and learn with. You know, we may have a culmination of a cycle, but we're, you know, the universe is constantly moving. So we're constantly moving and constantly growing. But it's very, very positive spread. Out of everybody's spread, I think you haven't had, just got the Music card. So for some of you Pisces, yeah, there aren't really any difficult, I mean, this one's slightly difficult, but it's acknowledging that, you know, you have something of value in terms of difficult aspects. So what did we have? The Music card wanted to pop out. So for some of you, your hopes and dreams may have been linked around music, but just in general, whenever that card comes up, I think about our own internal frequency, and the more that we're in alignment with it, the more that we're all essentially, the universe is music and poetry in motion, and the more that we're sort of in alignment with that, the more that we're able to sing our song. The energies that I channel, they absolutely love music. It's one of the things that they respond to very, very, very loudly. Okay, love that we've got the individuality card. So that's what I was talking about, being able to be yourself in the collective, being able to find yourself in the ocean of Pisces. That's really beautiful. I am going to leave it at that, Pisces. If anything resonated, there are many things you can do to help the algorithm push this forward. This is a growing channel, so if this resonated and you want to pay it forward, there are things that you can do. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're a new viewer. Hello, new viewers. Post a comment, even if it's just an emoji. Watching the video till the end, even if you've got it on mute and it's not your sign, or like watching more than one video in a row. There's lots of different things you can do to help the algorithm algorithm if you feel so inclined. It would be very much appreciated. But on a personal note, I love to hear from you all. I love to hear how the astro weather is showing up in your life. So if you feel like you want to share, that would be lovely. I love chatting, so I will get back to you. But let's leave it at that. Be good to yourself, Pisces. Be good to those around you. And most importantly, be well until we meet again. Aquarius rising. How are you doing, Aquarius? For those of you just tapping into the Aquarius energy, look to where Aquarius falls in your chart, the house that it's in, the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's essentially as if that Aquarius energy has now moved to the first house. In general, regardless of whether it's your rising sign or not, Aquarius and Capricorn energy, they are called what's inverted. They're next door to each other. Traditionally, they don't have a aspect between them, a line of communication, like a direct line of communication. So the way that I talk about this is as if that energy, so two people sitting next to each other, they're facing forwards, they're not looking at each other, they're facing directly forwards. They know somebody's next door, but they can't see them, so you don't have that clarity of vision. So there's, for me, it's this osmosis, it's this subtle energetic transfer between those two houses. It's not that they're not talking to one another, it's not that it's not significant, but it's just coming around in a way that isn't necessarily as loud as some of the other placements. It still has its merit, still has its weight, still super important. Particularly because you're ruled by Saturn as well. So what's going on with Saturn in general is affecting you, Aquarius, because it is your ascendant ruler. But it's this the subtle energetic level that's getting into the quantum energy, getting into our atoms that we're not even consciously aware of, right? So it doesn't mean that it's not happening. It's really integrating on a very deep level. Right. So this lunation for Aquarius rising is happening in the 12th house. This is the house of mysteries. This is the hidden house. This is the house of self-undoing. It's a difficult house, guys. I can't lie. It's also a house of intense magic. So the hidden house, that which is, it's the constructs of who you are, right? This is where our limiting beliefs, our trauma responses are. We can often find it really difficult to integrate this house. So it's hidden from us, right? It's a very private part of who we are. It's not very visible. And sometimes it's very, very personal to you, this Capricorn energy, that you might not be able to integrate in the rest of your chart, or that other people even notice. It's a very, very private part of who you are. You might not. There's also a part of you that may not even be able to touch it, like engage with it. It all depends on your chart and very many different factors. But in general, it's sort of where our limiting beliefs and our trauma responses are. Those constructs that are formed at our very, very early age. But underneath all of that is your soul's magic. So this is a very, very magical house. It's the hidden house, that which cannot be seen, the occult. And so we've got a full moon here happening, illuminating everything that you may have been working on since the new moon in Capricorn that happened a couple of days after the winter. I'm just going to pause for a second. I just had to pause because I was feeling really heavy, and I just had a really big yawn. And the 12th house is often a space of rest, where we spend time in stillness, of not necessarily wanting to be visible, and wanting to be out in the world. It's a time of going inward, and a space of rest. So it's very interestingly that I was all of a sudden feeling like I was about to fall asleep, and I had a big yawn, connecting to that energy. But in that rest is where we unravel ourselves. When we spend time in contemplation of the 12th house, we help see where our response mechanisms might be, where this part of this dynamic that may be hidden from us. We need to be in a bit more observation. We need to be at just spend a little more time in stillness and just let it reveal itself. So I was talking about that new moon just after the winter solstice last year. This is now a completion. Full moons are sort of a bringing together of everything that you've been doing. So we consciously or unconsciously may have planted some seeds of working with, this is where mental health issues can be found, or working with magic, or working with your limiting beliefs, or working with that part of you that you're like, oh, I don't feel quite connected to that. I want to do some work on that. And so you, as I said, consciously or unconsciously, we would have been slowly building up and taking action, getting more and more present with that, more and more visible with this particular part of our journey. And now the full moon comes along and just gives a little, hey, hello, well done, thank you for putting in the effort. We really appreciate it, and you really appreciate it. The example that I've been giving today, right? So today is the day of the full moon. You're not missing the energies, you're not missing the messages by watching this after the event at all. We feel full moons in the lead up and afterwards. And also I'm pulling cards for the lead up and what's culminating, as well as what's integrating moving forward. And then I'm pulling some cards on Neptune. So it's all still very relevant. This morning I had a friend message me. So I've got Capricorn in the 6th house of how I work and work. And I got a message from a friend saying she wanted to see if I was willing to do a session of energy work. Energy work was one of the things that I first started out doing before integrating the tarot and astrology, where I'd clear people's energy and facilitate healing on that subtle energetic level from different dimensions. So it was just a little hint of, okay, well, you've been working on how you've been working for me personally, and then the universe comes along and gives you a little hey, hello, little synchronicity. So there may be synchronicities coming in for you about connection to your magic, connection to releasing those limiting beliefs. Perhaps maybe you've struggled from finding time to spend time in rest, and this is a moment where you've brought that into balance. Because speaking of balance, oh, maybe I should wait, actually. I'm going to wait. I'm trying not to jump ahead of myself. We'll come back to that work rest space, because Cancer's over in, the sun is over in Cancer in your house of work. I'm experiencing the opposite of what you may be experiencing. So I've had things, oh god, I'm jumping all over the place. Right, so the full moon can bring about those completion elements of seeing the work that you've done, and then knowing what you want to take forward and what you want to let go of, as well as, full moon traditionally is when hospitals, police stations and schools go a bit wild. This is because the moon, our unconscious space, is the loudest it can be, right? So it's got all the light of the sun shining on it. So our conscious vision, direction, animation of the sun, like conscious mind, shining a light on the unconscious space. So if we haven't been tending to our trauma responses, our unconscious needs, the moon represents our unconscious, our needs, how we nourish ourselves, how we nourish others, our intuition, amongst other things. Those are the key points that if we haven't been tending to them, this is when things get a bit rampant, because if we haven't been looking at them, if we haven't been seeing them, this is when they get really loud, when they want, this is like, now's their time to express themselves and sort of pop off. So if those things happen, it's only to let you know what you might need, what you might not have been able to observe. It's a wonderful lesson, a wonderful tool. So just be mindful of your environment, people around you maybe getting triggered, whether you get triggered. If you do and you respond in that way, it is just to help you see what you need to spend and sit time with, and to help unravel. It can also bring about situations that in the past may have triggered you, that now, because you've been doing the work, especially in the 12th house, that situation pops up and you walk through it without responding in the same way. This is letting your body know that it is safe, right? So sometimes we can cognitively work through things, but not necessarily embody it until we find ourselves in a similar situation and not respond in the same way. So this is a way of breaking the cycles, breaking those habits. So all of those things can come up with a full moon. Let's get back into rest and work. So with full moons, I often find wherever the sun is going to give a clue to what's showing up with this full moon. So the sun is over in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. So we've got the moon is also governing the sun as well. Your hidden house is really very loud at the moment, and maybe internally. And so the sun is over in work, health and routines. So you're prioritizing your clarity of vision of where of where you're working, how you're emotionally connecting to your work, how you're feeling about your routines and your health. So there might be a situation at work or the way that you work that comes up that is letting you know that you've helped navigate trauma responses, navigate limiting beliefs that have got in the way, as well as something may crop up that may have previously triggered you, that it may be in your working environment or the people that you work with, or the way that you take care of your health and your routines. That a situation may come up that maybe you've fallen back into a habit that isn't serving you. That could very much be a thing but you're not responding to it in the same way. You're acknowledging that you're a human being, and sometimes we fall off the trajectory that we have in mind for ourselves in order to let us know that that is no longer a constant reality. Like I always find I used to be anxious, depressed constantly. It's sort of like just so used to it that when I get those emotions now, I'm almost relieved because it's reminding me of, oh, that's not my everyday. That is not my everyday anymore. And you can sort of acknowledge the journey that you're on that we so often forget. So these things may crop up. There may be a sense of validation at your work, of letting you know that you may have a limiting belief of not being validated. And that's how it's showing up, that is no longer a block in your energetic field that is getting in the way of you being able to truly integrate and express yourself. Yeah, powerful moon in the 12th house. It's always, as I said, you might want to spend a bit more time by yourself. It all depends on your chart. It's very particular to the chart. Capricorn energy is, with the 12th house, it's really good to tap into the nature and cycles of time. I talk about Capricorn a lot. It's not like just the banking structures and power dynamics. You know, it's more breath work, it's more meditation, yoga, feeling in, reconnecting with earth, realizing that we are part of a cycle, all these kind of energies that it's also permaculture and knowing the biodiversity, like all the different species they're all connected to one another. That sense of a holistic way of engaging with that 12th house to help you connect to those traumas and be able to release them, like lots of stretching the physical form. I always think of Capricorn as the longevity of the physical form. It's not necessarily what feels good, which is more Taurus, but it's certainly what is the legacy of commitment and integrity, very Saturnian energies that are helping you be able to embody that 12th house space that can feel quite alien and quite distant. Mindful meditation, these sorts of things. So that's the kind of full moon that might show up for you. Also really tapping into your magic, the legacy of cycles of time, very powerful commitment, the staying power of Saturn in Capricorn is pretty phenomenal. We look to where Saturn is, because wherever Saturn is having an impact on the Capricorn energy, and therefore having an impact on this moon. This is the first moon with Saturn in Pisces, so the first moon in signs linked to Saturn, so Aquarius or Pisces, Aquarius or Capricorn, and this is the first one in Capricorn. So we're really getting a flavor of what Saturn feels like for us in terms of lunations, our unconscious space. Just had an energetic response to that in this lunation. And Saturn is over in Pisces. It's finally left your sign, Aquarius. You must be, I think you're feeling pretty good. You're pretty sure of yourselves now. And now Saturn is in Pisces, helping you bring structure, integrity, authority to the way that you value yourself and the way that you use your tools in order to manifest. So this is sextiling the moon. So we've got a lot of supportive, creative energy coming through. And all of this stuff in the 12th house is through osmosis, helping you then be able to embody yourself in a way that's more in alignment with your soul. So Saturn, where Saturn is a sense of bringing something around this full moon that's helping you understand your long-term legacy in terms of how you value yourself, and something highlighting that's coming through. Second house is how you your resources, the tools that you have in order to make money, how you manifest. It's the things that you value, and the how you value yourself. So themes around that can crop up around this full moon to help you understand the journey that you've been in order to understand your true value. Saturn also being in Pisces in the second house, it's giving some sort of structure around how you spend your money as well. But that's more in the Saturn transit video, so do check that out if you're interested. But Saturn is in the sign of that is ruled by Jupiter, and so I forgot to mention you are ruled by Saturn. Therefore, this transit with Saturn, no, ignore that. Ignore that. Right, let's go over to Jupiter, because Jupiter rules Pisces, so therefore what's going on with Jupiter is impacting what's going on with Saturn, that's impacting what's going on with the moon. And Jupiter is over in your 4th house of home, roots and foundations, your ancestors, your lineage, your parents, the roof over your head, your private life. Jupiter providing wisdom, trining this moon. Trining this moon, finding wisdom from, right, okay, so the link between the 4th and the 12th is very much the ancestral karma that we carry in our limiting beliefs, in our trauma responses. Okay, they're liking this one. That the wisdom and understanding of that is feeding into your 12th house and illuminating and releasing and completing particular cycles. I like that one a lot. So that's what's going on. Jupiter is also sextiling the sun, and Saturn is trining the sign. Sextiles and trines are aspects of Venus and Jupiter. They are both the benefics. These are soft, easy flowing, supportive energies. They're not conflicting. They're not dramatic. Sextiles Venus wanting to provide love, appreciation, and value, and creativity, a sense of harmony. So harmony between Saturn and the moon, creativity between Saturn and the moon, and creativity between Jupiter and the sun. So how are we getting this in alignment? So your work-life balance is in balance, right? So helping limiting beliefs. Maybe you've overworked, maybe you've underworked. All of these things may have impacted the way in which you work from a place of nourishment, right? From a place of okay, obviously what I'm trying to say doesn't need to come out. We'll come back to that. So we've got the Jupiter clearing out old ancestral issues linked into your those hidden constructs, also bringing in the magic from the ancestors as well, feeding into your unconscious space that is being cultivated and facilitated by how you work and what it is that's important to you, and your value system as well. All the while, so Jupiter is in Taurus, ruled by Venus, and Venus is over in Leo in your 7th house. That's a big transit, Aquarius, especially because you got it on an angular house, which is the 7th house for Aquarius rising. This transit happens once every 8 years in the sign of Leo. So Venus retrogrades the least out of all the celestial bodies. So when these happen, it's a very personal planet as well. This is a big impact transit that's happening at this time. And what's going on with Venus, your one-to-one relationships, business, romantic, friendship, business partners, clients, personal friends, long-term committed relationships, is impacting your foundations. This, what way, like reevaluating the value that you have in those things and how you are valued, feeding into your foundations of giving strength from the ancestors, strength from your the root of who you are, and able to express that pleasure principle that's then feeding into how you value yourself, is going straight in to the 12th house of let's clear out some clutter. And that is very much shown in the cards. I didn't talk about Neptune. So I'm pulling cards for the Neptune retrograde, which went retrograde on the 30th of June, a couple of days before this this full moon. And Neptune is in, again, the same sign as Saturn. They're both retrograde. You're both sort of revisiting and going inward. Neptune can feel very overwhelming. It's essentially, it's everything all at once. It's the quantum field. It's connecting to the pure creation energy of the creator, or however you want to phrase that, whatever brought this thing into being. And by thing, I mean the universe. All the dimensions, all the frequencies, all the different time zones. This is real, this isn't real. There's a boundarylessness to Neptune. There's a sense of the mystical and the martyr, the mystic and the martyr, very idealistic energy. But we can also be really sensitive because it can feel very overwhelming, because you're essentially drawing in all the possibilities, bringing in all different types of realities into your own reality, and we can feel quite overloaded with that. But with the retrograde, there's a sense of bringing that inward, of containing it in the individual form that isn't necessarily in the outward space. So it's more, there's a slight sense of clarity and boundaries that comes up with Neptune retrograde, that you're able to draw that magic, that creation energy into your second house of how you make your money, but most importantly, how you value yourself. So yeah, I've pulled some cards for that. Okay. This is very 10th house energy. Of all the readings, this is difficult energy, but it makes a lot of sense. And there's completion here. Of you've been spending time working through these limiting beliefs, limiting these trauma responses, right? So the first card is like the 7 of Wands. This is someone who has something of value, but they don't know it. They're unsteady with it, even though they're on higher ground, even though they're winning against the competition. Look how unsteady they are. They're wearing different shoes, and imagine, that's no criticism to wearing different shoes, but just imagine, so wearing a boot and a shoe, that's going to feel different in the way that you're standing. And if you're in this position, that's going to be important to whether you feel steady on your feet. So not knowing the value of who you are and what you have to offer, fighting off all of these trauma responses and limiting beliefs that keep blocking you from getting in the way of knowing your true value. I'm getting quite impassioned by that. We've got the 3 of Swords, 8 of Swords, 10 of Swords in reverse. So it's kind of implying you've been working through these and shifting to that. 3 of Swords, heartbreak. That's not just romantic. That is absolutely anything that's happened to you, words, ideas, constructs that have blocked off your heart energy, that have made that heart energy not be able to reverberate at its full possible power. And you've had the vision and understanding of seeing this clearly and being able to slowly, bit by bit, pull those swords out. You know, this is the vision card. This came up in the collective reading. I really recommend you check it out. This is the first moon in a Saturn sign, with Saturn in Pisces, as well as we're not having a new moon in Capricorn this year. We're having 2, sorry if I've already repeated myself, we've got 2 new moons and 2 full moons in Capricorn next year. So we're really being shown a lot of support and nourishment before we go on to the next leg of the Capricorn area of our chart. The 8 of Swords, trapped in a cage of our own making. This is very much everything is an illusion, especially the ideas and constructs that we have that may have felt like they have bound us. But we're actually able to release this. And what I love about this is the water here linked into Saturn being in Pisces. So if you just move a little bit, if you change your perspective, the binds come down, and you're able to remove that blindfold and have the vision that you need in order to walk through the river, this element of change, the sense of water of Saturn being in Pisces, that you've been cultivating, shifting and breaking out of structures that, you know, these are cages of your own making. This is a cage of our own making. As even though these things are difficult, very difficult, we get very stuck in them, it doesn't mean that we don't have the capacity for change. Got this with the 10 of Swords. So this is for me very karmic energy. Because it's all along the spine, and we hold a lot of karma in our spine. The 10 of Swords, the sense of feeling betrayed, of exhaustion, of being pinned down, that you cannot even move, you cannot even find a way out. But it wanted to be in reverse, and this is about all those knives falling out of that spine, the release, so you're then able to get up and walk forwards. Love this completion of this cycle of you pulling out those swords one by one by one by one by one. Doesn't mean we still don't have some, like, obviously there's, I mean, every time we evolve and grow, there's always something else. We've got there's many swords to pull out, but that's part of the game, guys. We've got to have a smile on our face while we do it, just wanting to go over to the laughing Buddha. But the energy moving forward, very simply, collaboration. I love this card when it shows up for the 12th house. This is mastery. So this is moving away from that 7 of Wands where you're unsteady of knowing your true value. Even if you think you might have known that, there will have been things, which has clearly come up in the cards, that have been blocking that. Even if you're walking through life thinking, no, I've got this, there's going to be stuff. Like, there's a lot of reason why, like, The Secret doesn't work, because our limiting beliefs are really right at the root of our core of our unconscious space, and they can be incredibly difficult to pull out those swords because they're so deep within. But this is about, you know, you are of value. You have cultivated something that is important to you. It's not necessarily about the outside world, but you are enjoying your own experience, and through that understanding of your own mastery, you're drawing together people in order to create, who have different things to offer, in order to create something beautiful and long lasting. So that's the collaboration. But with the 12th house, for me, this is also a collaboration with all the different parts of who you are. You've pulled out the swords. You pulled the swords out from the different parts of who you are, which has been blocking their ability to facilitate you and the nuances of the different versions of yourself. We are multifaceted beings, and being able to collaborate to create something beautiful and long lasting in that 12th house, that house of mystery, but that house of magic. I like how we've got pentacles for this as well, because it's an earth sign. This is legacy as well. Long-term legacy. You're building something for the long term, and you are confident in what it is that you're doing and who you are. Love, 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 love. So this is for Neptune. So I talked about how Neptune retrograde can be a sense of clarity come in. And we've got that very clearly with the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is very Aquarian energy, having clarity of truth and being able to take action on it. Very, 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 you know what it is that you want to do. And this is like, you know, the power that you have of how to value yourself and how you're able to manifest. And Neptune is helping bring that sense of knowing into your inner space, so you can then create and manifest moving forwards. We've got this with the Moon card. This is Pisces card, so very appropriate for the Neptunian energy of being like, so your resources, your tools is that collective emotional unconscious, is magic, right? It's deep emotional compassion, deep sensitivity. There's also a lot of psychic ability. This is bringing in both the tame and the wild, right? So dogs were once wolves, but they were tamed, or there's arguments that wolves tamed us in order to get fed, but the dog comes from the wolf, this acknowledgement of the civilized and the primal animal part of who you are, the duality of Pisces, right? And harnessing that magic together in order to tap in and harness your intuition, harness your deep, intense psychic sensitivity that you have as one of your resources. And the Victory card, love this. So being able to integrate the magic of Neptune into your Pisces energy in order to take you to a state of victory and celebration and recognition, a recognition of your talents, a recognition of the tools that you have, and being able to put them into service in order to bring your vision into clarity, and manifest your ability to bring things into the world, of being able to create, of manifesting and knowing your own value as well, because this is the second house of how you value yourself. So recognizing your own worth. Right, I'm going to pull some clarification cards. Let's go with the numerology deck first. All the decks are in the description box if any of them take your fancy. Let's see what wants to come up for Aquarius. Perseverance, not surprised. Let's do the first light tarot, and then we'll go back and pull another card. yeah, it's a mindful task to pull those swords out. It's being mindful and being aware of how you respond to things, being an observation of that which is hidden. Got the past card. So we put those cards in the past. Love that. I'm going to pull another one just because. This is the First Light Tarot. This is Major Arcana. Question cards, statement cards. Yes. Yes. The Emperor. Order, plans, stability, logic. But this is about being, this is Aries energy. This is about being, knowing your own sovereignty, knowing your own inner power, being able to have a sense of control over the hidden house, but not denying those parts of who you are, never shaming and rejecting and pushing to one side, but being, hey, the Emperor is wise, right? The King of Kings, the actions that they take are facilitating the empire, right? So there's you, the individual, and then there's all those hidden parts of who you are, the multitude of the multifaceted being, and there's a sense of command and not necessarily control, but you're not letting things run rampant, and you're not letting things take you over and block you from being able to be in this state of victory and clarity. Love that. Love, 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 love that. Right, one final card for Aquarius. So this was, this sort of came out and I put it back. Individuality. I love it. That knowing of self, with all the multifaceted, but still knowing that there is a core self within you. Your soul is there. Right, this card is, okay, they're just really wanting to highlight the celebration of self and valuing yourself and seeing your own inner worth in a way that isn't pompous, it isn't ego driven, it is, I mean, unintegrated ego driven. It isn't a response. So sometimes people can really puff themselves up because they feel deeply insecure. There's a confidence here. And that's backed up by the fact we've got Saturn and Jupiter making really positive aspects to this full moon. And they really want you to embody wisdom and integrity. There's such a deep confidence with Jupiter moving through your fourth, of that confidence in your foundations, the root of who you are. There's an innate wisdom, and through that wisdom, we just are more at peace with ourselves, and we sort of exuberate that calm confidence of who you are and what you're doing in the world. Love this for you, Aquarius. Right, if anything resonated, there are many things you can do to help push the algorithm, help get the algorithm to push everything forwards. This is a growing channel, so all the interaction with the channel really helps. If you feel so inclined, like the video. New viewers, if you want to subscribe and enjoy the content, I put out lunation videos and big transit videos, as well as watching the video all the way till the end. I mean, admittedly, this is the end of the video, but yeah, that really helps just to watch the full video, even if you've got it on mute. Watching more than one video in a row, as well as sharing, all those sorts of things, leaving comments, that really helps, even if it's just an emoji. Do so if you wish to. On a personal note, I love to hear from you, so if you want to talk about the astro weather, I will get back to you. I love chatting about it. Be good to yourself, Aquarius. I can tell that this is what's happening. Oh, this is making me really happy. Be good to yourself, be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again.